Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there. Specifically to my wife, who is a mother to our 3 children and an amazing one at that. I'm your host, David Butler. It has been quite the week, or has not been quite the week we had hoped for, as the Cubs have gone 2-4 since the last Sunday. Today the Cubs played their 41st game of the season, which was the benchmark that I talked about being such an important marker for this season. I said that if they went 20-21 during that time, they'd be in a great spot for the rest of the season. Well, if they were to lose today, then the Cubs have gone 23-18 in that time period. Obviously, though, if they win, they would be 24-17. Either way, that is tremendous. That is against teams that if you take out the 23-17 record the Cubs currently have, started off the season at 180 and 137, which is .550 baseball. That includes the Pirates, who have had a very rough start to the year. We have a lot to talk about here today, so let's get going. Remember, the best way to help grow the podcast is to listen to every episode, to like the episode, share the episode with your friends, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Our weekly recap. On Sunday, in a pitcher's duel between Freddie Peralta and Shota Imanaga, the difference in the game was Shota getting hurt in the bottom of the 6th, trying to cover first to complete a double play. Julian Merriweather ended up coming in and threw a wild pitch, allowing 2 hits and 4 runs total scored, for the most part ending the game. Finished off in a 4-0 loss for the Cubs. The Cubs only managed 5 hits and lose their best pitcher in the process. More on him a little later. On Monday, the Cubs welcomed the Giants to Wrigley Field with a 9-2 drubbing. It was 4-2 through 5, and then the Cubs exploded for 5 more runs in the 6th to put the game out of reach. Dansby Swanson continued his onslaught after getting moved down in the lineup, and Ian Happ drives in 3 runs as Boyd throws 6 innings and strikes out 7 to get his 3rd win of the year. Tuesday, in a game that the Cubs just really didn't play all that well, they came back in the 9th to tie it, only to blow a golden opportunity in the 10th by not scoring in the bottom half, and then just getting crushed in the 11th inning. Colin Ray had his worst start outing of the year, but they kept the Cubs in the game. Most of the bullpen did well, giving up 2 hits in 5 innings until the 11th inning, when Presley just imploded, giving up 9 runs, 8 of them earned, without recording an out. Wednesday, Ben Brown pitches 5 innings and allows 3 runs, but the Cubs lose 3-1 as they can't get the offense rolling. Brown threw 103 pitches, again in only 5 innings. He has to improve his efficiency if he's going to gain any kind of consistency. The bullpen did well, but it took 5 of them to finish the game as the Cubs lose the series against the Giants at home. On Thursday, they had their off day, traveled to New York City. Friday, Jameson Taillon suffers his worst start since his opening start on March 28th, and the Cubs get down by 5 after 3 and are never really in the game. The offense got 2 solo shots by Kyle Tucker and Michael Busch in the losing effort. Saturday, the Cubs jumped out early in this one, scoring 4 runs through 4 innings, basically flipping the script from the day before. Before the Mets, though, answered back with 3 in the bottom of the 4th on a 3-run homer by Brett Beatty. Each team tacked on 2 more in the 8th, and the Cubs hold on in Cade Hortons' ML debut, despite Brett Beatty's 2-home run, 5 RBI night. Overall, Cade pitched very well, making only 1 big mistake to Beatty in the 4th inning, allowing the 3-run homer. He struck out 5 and allowed 4 total hits in his 4 innings of work. He also did not walk a single batter, earning his first Major League win in the process. In previews for this week, the Cubs will take on the Miami Marlins and Chicago White Sox. Quite the difference from what has been happening over the last few weeks. But the Marlins are actually 17th in runs scored on the road with a 4.19, so they're not quite a pushover against our pitching staff right now. They don't have a ton of talent, but they're young and hungry. On the pitching side, though, the Marlins have a league-worst 6.98 ERA on the road this season, so the Cubs should be able to tee off and show off with their offense. Against the White Sox are third worst in runs scored on the road at 2.85. Frankly, this should be a cakewalk series, but we all know how that goes sometimes, so the Cubs will need to be on their A game and win the games they are supposed to. The White Sox road ERA is quite a bit better than the Marlins, but is still at 4.49. I would expect the Cubs to average 5 to 6 runs in both of these next two series. Overall, the Cubs should, at the very least, go 4-2 during this next week, but have a good chance at going 5-1. All 6 games will be at home against two teams who are in the top 5 of the worst teams in the league. The major leagues. Not just the National League, the major leagues. As I talked about earlier, Cade Horton just made his major league debut last night, starting out with a very good beginning of the season at AAA Iowa. In 29 innings, he had an ERA of 1.24, a WHIP, which is walks plus hits per innings pitched, of .86, and a K percentage of 10.24 per 9 innings. His walk percentage of 4.03 per 9 is definitely a little higher, but he has some nasty pitches and a chance to be a real stud. Like I've said, though, with Ben Brown, this kid is young. He's even younger than Brown. He's 23. And he's likely going to have some inconsistent moments. Those things are part of watching young pitchers as they navigate the big leagues for the first few times around. There are going to be plenty of flashes of brilliance from Cade as well, though, and we are going to love that. Personally, I was hoping that he'd start against the Marlins, but this should set him up to get his first actual start against the White Sox now, which should be an even better option. The White Sox are top 10 in strikeout percentage against righties and are bottom 3 in WRC+, ahead of only the Pirates and the woeful Rockies. And we already talked about they average 2.85 runs per game on the road. So why is Cade Horton a part of the Major League roster now? Shota Imanaga got his hamstring injury last Sunday. It's a grade 1 strain, which is the best case scenario that we could have hoped for. He will likely be out 4 to 6 weeks, and maybe a little longer depending on how cautious the Cubs are going to be. Personally, I want them to be as cautious as they possibly can be. Get Imanaga right and at 100% before he comes back. This will also potentially be a blessing in disguise, as the Cubs don't have to try and limit his innings at all later on in the season. For the time being, Matthew Boyd and Jameson Taillon are going to be the keys to this rotation. Colin Ray, Ben Brown, and likely Cade Horton will round out the starting staff. But who else is there now to make spot starts if and when needed? Chris Flexen is on the Major League roster. Jordan Wicks is there for depth, and maybe even our old friend Keegan Thompson, who's been stretched out some in the minors. Outside starting pitching options in free agency, there's not a whole lot of good options. Jordan Lyles, Ross Stripling, Alex Wood, Noah Syndergaard, and Anthony DeSclafani, who've all had flashes of great times in the majors, but none of them really excite me at this point. Not even a little bit. Trade candidates. A week ago, I was starting to really think that Pablo Lopez might become an actual trade possibility soon because of the Twins' start. But they have now rattled off 7 wins in a row. Everyone who's not injured on the White Sox are young, and I don't think that any of them are available. Not that there's a whole lot of great options there anyway, but they do have some solid young pieces. Sandy Alcantara with the Marlins is the hot name, but let's be honest, he's still struggling mightily after his surgery and coming off missing last year. The guy has uber talent, but we are not sure how he's going to continue to bounce back off this injury for the time being. In 31 innings, 7 starts, he has an ERA of 8.42, an expected ERA of 6.19, and an expected FIP of 4.68. This tells me he's, although still not good, he's also running into some bad luck. He's worth watching, but unless they are getting a really good deal, the Cubs should just keep watching him for now to see how he does. Max Meyer is another guy that I feel the Cubs should inquire about. It would likely take a lot to get him, as he's only 26 years old, and he has some very good stuff as well. But he is pitching much better than Sandy right now, and could be a very good, high-quality starter with a lot of team control for the Cubs. Max has a 4.37 ERA so far this year, with an expected ERA of 4.85 and an expected FIP of 3.23. So he's pitching far better than what the results are showing. In 45 and a third innings, he's allowed 22 earned runs, 8 home runs, which is a little high, 52 strikeouts, and only 16 walks. He's looking pretty good. This is just me speculating. I haven't heard anything about this guy. I don't know if this guy's even available. I'm just trying to find guys that I think could become available, but I think it would take a lot to get him. Moises Ballesteros would probably be the starting point, and that guy's a huge bat to trade if we were going to trade somebody. I don't know. Just thoughts. Kyle Freeland is another guy that I think would probably be a whole lot cheaper than that. Some stats on him. I know his stats aren't going to overwhelm you, so I'm not even going to bore you with all that right now. But he pitches over his career. He has pitched far better on the road than he has at home. But he's had some really good years at home in Colorado as well, which is intriguing to me. I think if you put him on a team that actually is winning, I think you could see an uptick in what the guy can do. It's got to be frustrating to consistently be pitching for a team that's never, ever in the race. And we all see what's going on with Colorado. Like I said, I don't think it would cost a ton to get him. And he's signed through 2026. He's not terribly expensive. I think it's just under $13 million a year. I really like that possibility. But I'm hoping that the Cubs at some point, before the trade deadline, and we got a ways before that, get at least 2 more arms to help with this push. Because this is a great offense that we have got to support better with our pitching. Nobody's fault. It sucks that Justin Steele got hurt, and then Shota Imanaga, the best 2 starters that the Cubs have gotten hurt, and that's frustrating. Now it's Jed Hoyer's job to go out and replenish some of that, get some of those guys, and hopefully between Ben Brown and or Cade Horton, we get some really good starts or some kind of combination with those guys to help keep us going, and that the other guys step up a little more. Matthew Boyd has been great. He's pitching today. Let's see how he does. I'm excited about that. Last but not least, the third base situation. I think it's too early to be clanging for a trade, like I've heard a lot about. I think we want to give Matt Shaw another legit chance to hold on to this job before they let go and try and bring somebody else in. In the short term, though, John Birdie just keeps making errors when he's in there for any length of time. I don't understand why he continues to start. I really wish they'd leave Birdie in the utility role, which is what he was brought in to do, and let Nicky Lopez start the majority of the games right now. Gage Workman was cut because he wasn't hitting anymore, and he couldn't field consistently, which was supposed to be where he excelled. I know Birdie is hitting better than Workman did, but he should be, frankly. He's getting more at-bats consistently than Workman ever did once the season started. But his defense has been suspect at best and probably much worse than people think. Lopez has been really good there, and we just need a major league level defense if we aren't going to get any hitting at all from the position. Don't forget to join our Facebook group at Clark and Addison, Born Into the Ivy. Leave some posts or comments in there about what you'd like to hear or what you thought about today's episode. However you subscribe in your podcast, please like and subscribe to Clark and Addison, Born Into the Ivy, so that you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Also, if you feel so inclined, please make sure to leave a 5-star review and leave me some comments. If you are enjoying this podcast, make sure to share and tell it with any of your friends who might be a Cubs or baseball fan. Have a great day, and let's go Cubs. Paisley, send them home.
Go Cubs, go!
Living on the water, counting days since last summer.